negate, detach, quick effect. If this card is normal summoned or flip face up, you can add one invocation from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Fungus Bungus, the not-so-fun guy, once per turn. These are all terms you'd be familiar with if you've learned the Yu-Gi-Oh language to a 3rd grade level, but for every Rochambeau, there's a Colonel. For every Arigato, there's a Rendezvous. And for every problem-solving card text nightmare, there's an even scarier reality just around the corner. Is playing Yu-Gi-Oh just a little too easy? Is keeping track of an ever-evolving game state exciting to you? Well, Master Duel is not the game for you. In a world where even multiple-time YCS champion Jesse Cotton can bork the column effects of infinite impermanence, Master Duel decided to give players a helping hand. First with an animation, and eventually adding permanent lights to the column. Ripped straight out of some Zoomer TikTok. But none of this can compete with Taylor of the Fickle, which allows you to select one equipped card and switch it to another correct target. Now, I'm no Master Duel maestro, but I don't see why I shouldn't be able to squander my own OTK due to the consequences of my own ineptitude. But this is going too far. Speaking of infinite impermanence, trap cards are often teased at recess for being too slow, requiring you to set them before being used. Fuse Line takes this a step further by being a trap card with the activation requirement while this card is set. The card reads, while this card is set, target one card on the field, in this card's column, destroy it. Now this quirk is likely due to the fact that it has a destruction effect that is tied to its set location and column, but I like to think that someone at Konami was worried they'd miss an FDK with Makura the Destructor, who lets you activate a trap card from the hand. And once upon a time, wasn't once per turn. If you're unfamiliar with Yu-Gi-Oh's Yugioh Friendship Gambit, let me enlighten you. Yugioh Friendship is a card that, when used with Unity, forces you to handshake with your opponent. Well, some naughty Yu-Gi-Oh players thought that they could cheese some wins out by offering the sweatiest, most revolting handshake possible. So, when Konami printed the card Monster Recovery, they wanted to make sure that no foul play was possible. Monster Recovery states, select one of your own monsters on your side of the field and combine it with your deck. At the same time, combine your hand and deck together and shuffle the deck. Then, draw equal to your hand. Very thoughtful of Konami to stress that you can only select your own monster, or else you'd have card thieves using this to shuffle away and potentially nab their opponent's cards. Too bad it wasn't good enough because Konami had to errata the card with the additional text, you cannot activate this card if you have a card in your hand that is owned by your opponent. And you know somebody tried it. This errata is clearly written with the blood of some unfortunate soul whose prize card vanished in the midst of a 60-card pile. Yu-Gi-Oh is a game known for having a lot of card text, and, if you've seen my rant on card bloat, sometimes not enough card text. Kotodama is a monster with a simple effect that, if there are monsters face up with the same name on the field, destroy those monsters. Think Harpy Lady. And then a word soup of parenthetical operational text meant to clarify that simple effect. It reads, if a monster is summoned or flipped face up that has the same name as the monster that is already face up on the field, the new flipped up monster is destroyed. If they are summoned or flipped up at the same time, they are all destroyed. Good thing super types like tuners don't need any text to explain how to use tuners. Could you imagine how unnecessary that text would be? Oh no! By the way, I love Neo Alias because not only is his effect like this itty bitty small piece of text, but it's also irrelevant since the only thing that really matters for him is that he's a hero and a beat stick, making him the star of the show, Hero Beats. But let's get back on track. Kotodama is hardly the only card with this feature, as the much more recognizable Inspector Border, at least if trauma counts as cognizance, also has the parenthetical text to clarify its unmistakably convoluted floodgate effect. Speaking of problem-solving card text, how about one of the victims of PSET? Here's Snow, Unlight of the Dark World. Snow, of course, has the seemingly redundant, if this card is discarded to the graveyard by card effect, colon, if it was discarded from your hand to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect, comma, You can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, semicolon, add one Dark World card from deck to hand, then special summon that target. Now I'm going to level with you. I understand how this card works. I am not a good enough player to explain how this card works. This one's for all the judges out there. Of course, this video would not be complete without mentioning the godfather of wacky card text, Penguin Knight, whose Unite the Graveyard and Form a New Deck led to the greatest innovation of all time. You've heard of the side deck, you've heard of the extra deck, but here comes Main Deck 2.